Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast. Today we're chatting about the Golden Globes, Giacchino back in the director's chair, Ari Asters' next fever dream, and the latest trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. All this and everything else that happened this week in Geek.
Love ya. Get home safe, guys. Peace.
Hey, it's Nate, and if you're joining us for the first time, we are Geekcentric, a podcast celebrating the world of movies, TV shows, toys, collectibles, gaming, and all things geek-centric. Joining me for This Week in Geek, we have my jelly slug slinging Gifler gestating in January. He's Justin the Long Bottom Lawrence.
How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I was looking for like Harry Potter. We got a Harry Potter story today, so I was looking for Harry Potter words.
I like the long
jelly
bottom.
slug.
I definitely have a long bottom.
You got a long bottom, dude.
Yeah,
It's all the way down to your ankles now, I think. Because you're getting older. But listen, back in the habit in the year of the rabbit, he's the nut keeper, crumb sweeper with the kooky features like a creature teacher. He's Kevin, the kaiju kissing Hudson.
Salutations. That was magical.
Yeah.
There you go.
It never ceases to amaze me how you must really get use out of your thesaurus.
It's probably my most read book/website of the past few years, I think, for sure.
I do have to ask, what's a nut keeper?
Well, a nut, Kevin, in Harry Potter is types of currency for Harry Potter people.
Oh, okay.
The people in the world of the Harry Potter lands. It's a nut. And then you've got a sickle, and then you've got other things. And then a keeper is in Quidditch, right?
Yes.
And then you got Victor Crumb. And then Creature Teacher, and then Kaiju Kissing is actually from a different news story. But how are both of you doing this lovely evening tonight?
Doing great. Starting off on a great note here. I like it.
I think so.
Just
I think,
deconstructing your method of madness in your opening monologues there.
It's a whole thing. I wanted to kick off This Week in Geeks episode as it's our first episode of the year, and I want to ask both of you sort of a New Year's question. People are always making their resolutions, and then they never keep them. I don't know who you are that says you keep your resolution, but you don't. So this week I wanted to know, what are your realistic resolutions? Something that you can actually think that you can achieve, whether it's like, I'm going to not leave crumbs after I eat a piece of, toast or something like that.
Well, I'm always going to leave crumbs when I eat a piece of toast, so I'm not even going to pretend that I can manage that.
But you're the crumb sweeper, dude. You're the crumb sweeper, as I just said.
Jeez, okay. Well, okay. I'm changing my whole outlook for 2023.
Yeah.
New goals. No, every year I say I'm gonna get healthier. I'm gonna eat better. I'm gonna lose weight. And I'd say once every 5 years, I actually stick to it. Make it a little bit longer than a week or two. If you've known me for as long as Justin has, you know that my weight goes up and down more than Christian Bale training for movies. I'm up, I'm down, I'm all over the place. But this year, I've got the added incentive, not only of a few trips that are going to require some trips to the pool, which is always motivation enough, but with our little girl here now, I want to be as active and healthy and ready to play and be a part of her life as much as possible. So that's all the motivation one could and should need to really get the whole health game in check. This is the year. I'm going to see an ab on my stomach by the end of the year. Damn it.
Whoa, like you're going to have a 1-pack or a 2-pack even?
Let's start with a 1-pack.
Okay, that sounds good. Justin, how about yourself?
I don't know, man. I think I gave up on resolutions a long time ago. For some people, it can be definitely very motivating. I don't want to take away from that. But I also think it can sometimes becomes a sort of a deterrent, because by the time you get there and things change, you look back and it's like this negative thing on the year, and you celebrate at the end of the year what you have to celebrate for the year that you've come from, and be optimistic about the new year. That's all I would ever want to tell anyone about New Year's resolutions, right? Because we all have goals and things that we want to do. It's hard to put them in a tier of like, that's going to be a resolution. So
that was a beautiful non-answer. I love that. Yeah.
but it's such a good point. Like, and you never know what's going to come your way, right? Like the last time I was on my big weight loss binge was leading up to my wedding in January of 2020, and we got back from the wedding and we were ready to kick it into high gear and keep going. And then all of a sudden COVID hit and 2 years of lockdowns and you can never see that coming. And that really, I put on a COVID 50. If not much more, you know what I mean? And it was, instead of getting co-fit, I got co-fat. And so, you put those expectations and you don't meet them, it can be a little demoralizing. And so I kind of like Justin's outlook there.
Oh, I appreciate, Kevin. Yeah, COVID. That's why I gained weight. Okay, good to know. But for myself, I think I'm excited this year. This is going to be. I'm going to make a resolution right here on the podcast. This is going to be This is finally the year that I will see if I'm interested in Doctor Who. I think that's a very achievable resolution. This is the 60th anniversary of the show, so with Darcy's help, I'm excited to see if I can sit down and actually get invested in the show that I know it's got a huge following both inside and outside of the UK, and we've got our upcoming trip to the UK for Star Wars Celebration, so I kind of want to try to see if I can squeeze in a bit of Doctor Who, become a Whoville Whovian or whatever they're called, and go full
Whovian, not
British.
to be confused with a Susian. It's a Whovian, yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure Darcy will have to correct me, but I'm excited to learn what a TARDIS is and figure out why I keep seeing sonic screwdrivers in my Instagram ads. But listen, we actually have some breaking news before we even get to the real news. This is huge. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is coming in. This is just happening. This is under an hour old. This comes from IGN on Twitter, who write, to rival the popularity of Sprite, Pepsi is ditching Sierra Mist in favor of a new lemon-lime caffeine-free soda called Starry, with higher citrus flavors that are true to fruit and more aromatic than Sierra Mist. No announcements have been made as to when this new soft drink will make its way to store shelves, but rest assured we'll be trying it as soon as it gets to Canada. I added that last part. Justin, Kevin, what do you think of the loss of Sierra Mist after 24 years of its service to Pepsi Company? This is huge.
I don't know if I have enough information to comment on this.
I don't even know if I've ever tried Sierra Mist.
No?
If I'm in that very rare mood where I'm like, ooh, I'd like a soda pop that tastes like sour lemons and limes, I'll just snap into a Sprite. Right. And especially because Coke does it right. Their diet pops are amazing. Sprite Zero tastes just like the real thing with none of the calories. So I've always been a Sprite guy. I will say that the packaging for Starry is very aesthetically pleasing. I like the look they've got going.
Yeah, it gives me very, I feel like I would see it next to a Japanese ramyun drink, like in Tokyo somewhere. Like, it does look very stylistic, very colorful. They've had their ups and downs, right? I mean, Miss Twist back in 2016 was such a big failure. And so now they've, and in 2018 they reverted back to Sierra Mist. So, I think it's going to be an interesting
How do you
year.
know so much about this beverage?
Listen,
was it all attached to the internet?
I'm just saying I think it's such a prolific lineup in the PepsiCo product lineup. So I just thought, I had to mention it before we get to the real news. But listen, let's get to the real news.
It's all about the details.
All right, let's kick it off with talking about the Golden Globes 2023. We have a write-up here from Entertainment Weekly from Dan Snierson. On Tuesday night, the Golden Globes were held for the 80th time in history, though this year's ceremony was notable for a bigger reason. The awards show that is supposed to honor excellence in film and TV has been trying to recover from a racial exclusion scandal after a 2021 Los Angeles Times story revealed that none of the 87 Hollywood Foreign Press members were black. Tom Cruise subsequently gave back his Globes. NBC opted not to air the ceremony last year, and reform in the form of inclusivity began to take shape. After Jared Carmichael explained to the audience at the Beverly Hilton how he wound up as the host, spoiler, he says, "I'm here because I'm black," before launching into a detailed and honest account of his decision-making process. The trophy distribution then began. The Banshees of Inisherin, which led all movies with 8 nominations, struck up a meaningful friendship with the Globe voters over the evening. The Irish Island set tragic comedy, that's an interesting word, took home the Best Comedy Film trophy, while Colin Farrell triumphed in the acting category, and writer Martin McDonagh won for Best Screenplay. The Fabelmans also came into frame by winning Best Drama, Film Honors, and Best Director, Steven Spielberg. Meanwhile, Everything Everywhere, Let's Go, All at Once prevailed in 2 dimensions as Michelle Yeoh and Ke Huy Quan netted acting trophies. On the TV side, ABC comedy Abbott Elementary, which boasted the most nominations of any show with 5, built off of its Emmy momentum and went to the head of the class, winning Best Comedy Honors and Golden Globes for Quinta Brunson and Tyler James Williams. An even bigger Emmy magnet, HBO's The White Lotus, enjoyed the privilege of converting its 4 nominations into 2 awards, one for Best Limited Series and another for Jennifer Coolidge, who I think also delivered the funniest speech of the night. And then Game of Thrones prequel, Let's Go, House of the Dragon, added some surprise to the night by claiming the Best Drama Award. Elsewhere, Tar's Cate Blanchett, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever's Angela Bassett, and Elvis's Austin Butler scored trophies along with The Bear's Jeremy Allen White, Euphoria's Zendaya, and Yellowstone's Kevin Costner.
Yeehaw!
Cheering for that one. But it wasn't Rip, but it was Kevin Costner. And in addition, Murphys were also honored. 2 Murphys, in fact. 5-time Globe winning Ryan Murphy was given the Carol Burnett Award, and Eddie Murphy was handed the Cecil B. DeMille Award. So, guys, let's talk about this year's Golden Globes. What did you think of the show, and what did you think of this year's winners?
I think I'm probably the biggest award show guy. Now that the Globes are out of the way, the build-up to the Oscars can truly begin. We'll probably get nominations in the next week or so. But as always, watched the show with a good friend of ours, came over, and we did a really rushed award sort of prediction, as we didn't find out the show was happening on Tuesday evening until about 4 o'clock that afternoon. Very well advertised and marketed. You know, I was blown away that I hadn't heard a thing about the show airing later that night. But I will say this was the least prepared I've ever been for a prediction, and it showed in my score. I got absolutely rocked. I lost big time, but my wife, Sarah, who's the queen, pulled out a late last-minute victory. Thank you, Fabelmans. I will say the overall tone of the show that started right from host Gerard Carmichael's very bleak opening monologue and continued into his next segment where he told the audience to shut the F up, to which they did not do for the rest of the night. They talked over him for the rest of the show. He didn't say much after that. It felt awkward. And I mean, I think that was his intention, but it certainly didn't make for as enjoyable as an experience as we've sort of seen with the Globes. Those are sort of loosey-goosey and fun, and this it had a weird, somber tone to a lot of the in between the awards things, I thought.
You know, I didn't mind him as the host. I thought he was actually pretty funny with how blunt some of the things he was saying were. I think, you know, these events are, for a lot of people, they're a party, right? For a lot of people in attendance. And if it sounds to me from what I was hearing that food wasn't properly distributed. I mean, it sounds like there was some stuff behind the scenes that was really, really not, kind of going smoothly. And so that led to some people, drinking a little bit more and thinking, well, we'll offset it with food. And we saw that in some of the speeches. I love Lily Alcock up on stage, just looked absolutely blitzed. I do not know. She was just teeing it up on stage.
She was feeling no pain.
She was no pain at all. And it was just interesting to see as the night went on, like people more and more drunk. I think Jennifer Coolidge was absolutely hilarious on stage. And then to follow that up with the White Lotus win for the show, and Mike White coming up, and he was just like, I'm so drunk right now. And he even called out the lack of food. Like, it goes to show that this event very much is a celebration, but it's interesting to sort of see how the balance of that works from a standpoint of a television audience. And you even notice as well, like, I don't think at the beginning of the show they were putting up the warning of being like, this show may contain coarse language or whatever, and then they did later on.
Shits, we're talking hard F-bombs, just uncensored. That was shocking.
It was great. It was great. But I think I think at the end of the day, these shows should always end up being at their core to celebrate the people that put in the work to make the things that we love. And so at a certain point where I'm kind of like, yeah, let's have fun with it. Let's be loosey goosey. Let's when Natasha Lyonne comes up on stage and she talks about like how, they were told to keep their speeches brief. And then she goes on describing how she was told to keep the speech brief for like a solid 3 minutes as just this run-on gag was absolutely hilarious. But at the end of the day, I also do think that, there were a lot of people that didn't get a chance to really say what they wanted to say or talk for as long as someone like Steven Spielberg. And I think that's a little bit disheartening. And I kind of just, again, I'm in this in-between world where I'm like, yeah, celebrate, make it a party, but also make sure there's enough respect given to the people that actually deserve those awards.
It's the format. It needs to change. It's too much of the same. Like this is a very weird celebration ceremony because it's like a dinner party, right? And all of this, and like there being issues with food, like that makes sense. Behind the scenes struggles that are causing sort of a disarray of things that are happening, that are taking people's attention away from the actual show or presentation. Like the Oscars is long, but at least it's situated. They're there. It's treated as a show. But the idea too that they want these on television, they're not willing to stream them. I feel like that also plays a huge detriment to them trying to fit within like a window of time because they want to give everyone their awards, but then they run over.
Right.
Or it's
right.
like, okay,
it's
then
like,
we cut back and then it's like, well, you're still running over. Right? Like you're still running over. So it's like...
But I did find it really convenient to get onto this app and watch it that way. I did find that much more convenient than with the Oscars. So that was a little bit of a step up in my opinion, but you're absolutely right. If it was solely streamed and not on TV, then they wouldn't have to worry about this time restriction.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and think about how much time they wasted just with people getting to the stage. Like, It was so disorganized. They were weaving through tables. Like, Brendan Gleeson at one point had to stand up and, like, tuck his chair in so somebody could get past him to get to the stage, as they walked past 30 tables to get up there. You could have trimmed 20 minutes off that show just having, especially because they know who the winners are beforehand. So they could have sat people a little bit more strategically to avoid some of that delay. But
at one point Seth Rogen was like on a balcony somewhere and then had to walk somewhere else, and I'm pretty sure he got lost for a solid minute and a half, and he was probably pretty high, so it's like that seems a little easier, like put him closer to the front so he can make it to the stage for Fabelmans. But no, it was a little bit of a mess. But I think the winners, like Angela Bassett, I think deserves every possible award for that powerhouse performance in Black Panther. The court scene with Queen Ramonda is still living in my brain. And I think the biggest ones of the night, Michelle Yeoh and Ki Hye Kwan. I loved seeing them on stage, and
they
I
both had
absolutely
really
did
great
cry.
speeches. Yeah,
oh
they
my gosh,
had great speeches, and
his speech was phenomenal.
Yeah, you can
So
you can
good.
sense his excitement, and it was manifesting itself in sort of an emotionally charged way. So yeah, I was so happy to see Ki Hye Kwan win this award, and Michelle Yeoh. Like, she was so humbled and so graceful, even when she was on stage, like threatening to kick their ass for starting up the music. And you
So
called
good.
it out, Angela Bassett. I'm so happy she won Best Supporting Actress. But after that, everything kind of goes crazy. Like nothing that I really predicted could win didn't win.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin, how upset were you that Mr. Costner wasn't able to brave the storm to get to the awards? I mean, obviously we want him to stay safe, but
Sure. I mean, was that even legit, though? I loved the increasing severity of the reasons why people weren't able to accept their awards.
Yeah.
And it was disappointing that, this is probably the only time he'll win the award for that. And so, obviously, being a big fan of the show and this being the only Golden Globe that it's ever won, it was disappointing that he wasn't there. I can imagine, though, that Better Call Saul fans are even more disappointed that once again Mr. Bob Odenkirk got looked over. The show got looked over. I mean, for it to have never won And I think it won 2 out of like 40 awards in the big ones that it was nominated for over its 6-year run. And you'd figure on this last season, this would have been the chance. Like, save Costner's for next year. He's been great so far in Yellowstone. You know, save it for when it's Yellowstone's final season, and give Bobby some love. It's crazy that show got as overlooked. Maybe that the most overlooked show in history.
That's my biggest disappointment for sure from this award, is that that show got like no love, because it's so good.
Well, and even, you know, Emma Darcy not winning for her portrayal of Rhaenyra Targaryen is, you know, it wasn't surprising, it was disappointing, but for House of the Dragon to have won, I can't believe that it won an award that Game of Thrones never won in all its 8 seasons. Outside of some Peter Dinklage wins, that show never won Best Drama.
Never?
And so it's crazy that House of the Dragon was the season to do it. Even George R.R. Martin wrote a little thing the next day just being like, I'm actually like really stunned here. So yeah, that was a good surprise too.
Well, the showrunner Miguel came up and he was like, you could tell that we didn't expect that we were going to win. He had his tie off and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
he was
they
ready
were probably
for the rest
all
of the
just
night.
drinking and like
Yeah, but Miguel Sapochnik is gone now, so Ryan Condal, I'm just praying that he's going to be able to keep up with how incredible this first season was.
Those are some big shoes to fill. That's a big knight's helmet with dragon wing flaps on the side to fill.
Absolutely. I also wanted to just quickly mention, I think this week was a week of highs and lows for Elvis fans, with Austin Butler taking home the Globe for his absolutely incredible portrayal of Elvis. After watching that movie, I was telling people, like, you know, even if you're not an Elvis fan, if you're a fan of like just movies and sort of biopic portrayals, this is one for the books. And so seeing him there, and then seeing Lisa Marie at the Globes, so proud of him, so proud of the film, and then the tragic news that we've got recently of her passing away from cardiac arrest at just 54. Definitely a range of emotions for Elvis fans this week.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of nice that she did get to see, in some way, her father get honored one more time before she passed. Are we all? Is the whole world just going to ignore that Austin Butler just won't stop talking like Elvis? I mean,
No,
how long?
I think he always has talked like him.
He's never not quite.
Someone
like
called
that.
him out for it in an interview, and I don't remember where I was reading it, but he was saying like he doesn't recognize it, but he can understand why it's probably there, because he spent so much time, you know, doing this thing. I don't know. I didn't think it was that great, in all honesty. Hot take.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is a hot take.
Yeah, I thought his performance was great, but I will say he had one of the top 5 lines of the night when the band tried to play him off, and could you at least play Suspicious Minds, baby? You know, that was pretty funny.
It was great. It was great.
You know, like another surprise for me. I mean, again, looking at all these nominees, I'd at least heard of pretty much everything that was nominated. Hadn't seen everything, but at least heard of it. I have never heard of Abbott Elementary, and that show took home quite a lot of hardware. I mean, it sounds like a show worth checking out. It's crazy to me that something that, like,
I'm surprised you haven't
I've
seen
at least
that.
heard of The White Lotus and want to watch
Right.
it. So to see it win wasn't so surprising. To see Abbott Elementary, you know, I've never watched. Where does it play? Where does it stream? I've never heard of it.
I think it's an ABC show. It's very like mockumentary. There's that Parks and Rec Office vibe to it that feels very self-referential. That's talking about the public school system.
Yeah, it's 2 seasons, right? Quinta Brunson, and then distributed by Disney, Warner Bros, and 20th.
Is it on Disney Plus?
Probably Disney Plus. Definitely one that I want to check out after winning the hardware. And I think that's another nice thing about these award shows too, and I think that's also the thing that I love about the Oscars, right? Is that it can
exposes
sort of
you to the new things.
It kind of brings to a wider audience and says, hey,
Oh,
you
yeah, it
have
is
to
on
check
Disney
this
Plus,
out.
yeah.
It's definitely worth it. It's on Disney Plus. Awesome. I know what I'm watching now. But listen, before Justin keeps stepping on our blue suede shoes, Let's get to our next story here. Simon Pegg plays Headmaster Black in Hogwarts Legacy. This comes from IGN by Adele Anchors Range. Simon Pegg has joined the wizarding world of Harry Potter, voicing the infamously cantankerous Headmaster Phineas Nigellus Black in Hogwarts Legacy. Pegg describes his character as the great-great-grandfather of Sirius Black, as the least popular headmaster in history of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. According to Pegg, he's there to scupper the efforts of the player, though he would much rather tend to his surgically manicured beard than carry out any actual school duties. Quote, "We saw Phineas in the books and the films. He was a portrait in Dumbledore's office, but this is at a time when he was actually actively the headmaster," Pegg notes in an announcement video, taking us behind the scenes of Hogwarts Legacy and introducing his character. Despite being an ancestor of Sirius Black, Phineas doesn't seem to possess any of the same qualities. In Pegg's own words, he's noble, he's not brave, he's just a self-interested fool who will prove to be both a help and a hindrance to players working their way through the game. The cast also features Leslie Nichol as Professor Matilda Weasley, which I was stoked to see that. She's the deputy headmistress of Hogwarts. Candace Kane as Professor Onai, a gifted seer and divination teacher. And Som Kapila as Professor Satyavi Shah, a teacher of astronomy who is devoted to the sciences. Luke Youngblood, who played Lee Jordan in the Harry Potter films, has also been confirmed for a role. He's going to be switching houses to provide the voice of Ravenclaw student Everett Clopton, who is described as an underachieving rule breaker and prankster, in contrast to Asif Ali's Ravenclaw character, Mahendra Palwan, an avid rule keeper. Sebastian Croft and Amelia Gething provide voice options for the game's playable character, while Jason Anthony voices Nearly Headless Nick and the Sorting Hat. The Hat will take knowledge from the student's past along with input from the player to determine which Hogwarts house will be the right fit. But you don't have to wait long for you to find out what house you're going to be in, because Hogwarts Legacy will be available on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on February 10th. And then if you haven't heard, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but for our last-gen listeners, on April 4th for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And then for all of our Nintendo fans, they got to wait till July 25th to get this game on Nintendo Switch. So big casting here, and I think, a little more insight into this upcoming game from Warner Bros. Interactive. For you, Justin and Kevin, does this get you any more excited for the story in this game?
I'm already super pumped for this. When I found out that you would need to have a new gen system or wait until April, I've already coordinated. My brother's overseas in Germany right now, so I'm going to steal and borrow his Xbox so I can play this as soon as possible. Sarah and I are both amped. I think this thing is going to be playing on our TV 24/7 as we sort of bounce between our own individual characters. I haven't seen Sarah this excited to play a video game ever. I think it's just going to be awesome. And then to have somebody as recognizable, I think, as Simon Pegg in a role like this really helps the game. My expectations and anticipation are through the roof right now for this one.
I like what you said there with the 24/7 of keeping the game on the screen. It's funny because I just platinumed God of War Ragnarok, and there are some moments audibly when you're just standing somewhere in that game that just sound either so ethereal or just like you're in a forest or you're in the world of God of War. So to be in the world of Harry Potter and in the wizarding world, and to hear, people off in the distance enjoying a butterbeer and owls flying overhead, you got to imagine just kind of having the open world on while you're just sort of chilling in your room. Like, I'm kind of intrigued to make that happen. But Justin, Simon Pegg, he's a fantastic British actor. It's taken them this long to get him into a Harry Potter project. What did you think?
Well, I think that's the irony of the whole situation. Simon Pegg, well-known actor, British actor, never been in a Harry Potter series, and now he gets to be in a new way for the next generation of Wizarding World and all things Hogwarts Legacy related. But to Kevin's point, I have high hopes for this game. I think that I'm excited for the level of puzzles that will be introduced in some of these missions, as well as the level of mystery. I guess the only thing that's really not overly clear is the level of open world to it, to really explore. And I'm hoping that if you're starting to introduce Hogwarts and the Wizarding World into the video games, that you at least seed plant that you could at least extend this game, because that's the beauty of DLCs, right? Is like a game can then move on to a new chapter, if you will, while continuing it, and then that should bide some time until you can produce a follow-up game on the next gen console and so on. So yeah, I'm hoping that this really does kind of open the door to more Wizarding World in the gaming community.
Well, and just to sort of speak back on Simon Pegg a little bit, it was cool to hear him in the video talk about how Sirius Black is his favorite character from the books, and now he gets to play the great great grandfather, and I love how he alluded to the fact that he's basically one of the only British actors who wasn't a part of the original series, and it was on TV the other day. Just in the background, there was a game show, like a trivia style Harry Potter game show hosted by Helen Mirren, who also, for her prestige and legacy and reputation, for her to have not been in it as well. So those two, it's crazy that they were actually never part of it, and now they've both had a chance to, in one way or another, be a part of the Harry Potter world.
Yeah, and I think it makes me a little more hopeful for the game's narrative. You're right, Justin. Like, it's an open world game, right? So they have to nail two things here. As part of it being a Harry Potter game, the campaign and the storyline needs to be absolutely fantastic. And then the side quests, again, I think back to something like Horizon Zero Dawn, where a lot of the side quests in the game are,
I think of
pretty much just as good, or Red Dead, where you're just sort of falling into side quests and you're thinking like, this is
and
right.
They're still so influential, right? To your character, and like you've learned something, and sometimes it's like super surprising what that side mission could suddenly open up. So we're not talking about like just any sort of side missions. I think there's possibility to go further with those, and then again just expand on them and more DLC.
Well, this is Sirius Black's great grandfather, so hearing the fact that we're going to be getting a Weasley headmistress, Matilda Weasley, in this is really exciting, and I guess that would be a great grandmother of what have you, of Ron or what have you. So it's honestly, I'm really intrigued by this game. I'm a little, the only thing that has me a little tripped up, and it always has, is the fact that it's Avalanche Software. Just for the record, their last game was Disney Infinity, and I enjoyed Disney Infinity 1.0, and 2.0 was okay, and then they did 3.0 that didn't really feel that much different, and so I just don't know how that works for a developer of Disney Infinity to then come in and do this massive franchise, this massive world. Have either of you watched any of the developer videos of the gameplay or anything like that? Like, or have you just trying to stay completely spoiler free?
Oh, I've seen some stuff. I think we actually, you shared a video with us, and it showed us a little bit, and I think it was even more of like a trailer. So I don't know. They're nailing the look of Hogwarts. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm interested. The trailers definitely do a good job of pitching this like a very open world, explore, be your own wizard, get sorted, like the things that Wizarding World fans would want from a game like this, right? So I'm hoping, my fingers crossed. Like, the only thing I really have to go off of is your knowledge of Avalanche Software and whether this could be good or not. So yeah.
And then again, Harry Potter fans are clamoring for a good Harry Potter anything at this point. I think not everyone loved the Fantastic Beasts. Not everyone loved
so
what was the play, right? The Cursed Child. So I think there is a lot riding on this, and I'm wondering if that's going to set the expectations too high, that it's not going to be able to live up to it. But anyways, we will not have too long to wait. Let's get to our next news story here. Michael Giacchino to direct Them, It's because it's got an exclamation mark. I'm saying them. This comes from James White over at Empire. Having stuck a first couple of toes into directing with his short Monster Challenge and the impressive and entertaining Werewolf by Night MCU Halloween special, composer Michael Giacchino is now looking to prove that they weren't flukes by making his feature shot-calling debut with a reboot of the classic sci-fi thriller Them, with full backing of Warner Brothers. The 1954 original, directed by Gordon Douglas, saw a huge nest of irradiated ants discovered in the New Mexico desert. They become a national threat when two young queen ants and their consorts escape to set up new nests. The national search that ensues culminates in a battle in the spillways and storm drains of Los Angeles. It definitely sounds like something Giacchino could give a fresh spin to, and he's on the hunt for a writer to start bringing it to life in script form. Quote, "There's always a movie in your mind that never leaves your head," Giacchino tells Deadline. "For me, that's Them. It wasn't until much later in life that I learned it was about the nuclear age." Continuing, he says, "What I love about Them is exactly what it's called, Them. It's about the other, the unknown, which one refuses or can't understand." He adds the current version of Them is about immigration and to tell a story about the subject through a lens of this insane science fiction monster movie. So what do you guys think, a modern version of Them even looks like? And are you excited to see Giacchino back in the director's chair?
100%. He did such a great job with Werewolf by Night, and I think it's great that he's able to use that as sort of a portfolio boost. And, I'm pretty sure that has a lot to do with why Warner Brothers wants to, has given him full backing to do this movie. But I'm excited to see what he's going to do with it and how he will make it modern. Clearly he has a passion for it. And I think that if you have a passion for that and that's something that you want to do, you should do it, because that's probably going to be some of your best work. So it sounds like there's a good partnership and relationship here with it. But I don't know, giant ants. I'm sure Kevin might feel uneasy about giant ants.
Not a fan of giant ants.
I don't do bugs in my movies. I especially don't do giant bugs in my movies. So there's a whole 10-minute sequence of Peter Jackson's King Kong that I don't watch. Just you and I were talking the other day about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, it's my least favorite just because for 45 minutes of that movie I have to stare off to the side of the screen as they're stomping over bugs or sticking their hand in bug holes and stuff. So big giant bugs just don't do it for me. I mean, when you look at the footage from the 1954 version, it's so dated that it looks a bit comical. Mm-hmm. And so I can handle that, but you render that in new age CGI, and I think the only time I've been okay with a giant ant on my screen is in Honey, We Shrunk the Kids. They made the ant a likable. What
about Anthony? Did you like Anthony at all?
Anthony was okay. Anthony, I could do it. He was almost a little creepy, the size of a dog running around all fast and everything like that. But again, if handled in a fun, lighthearted way, I can handle it. But when they're monstrous and evil and poison pinchers and it creeps me out, man.
Well, that's just it too, because they want to go for a modern take on it. So it's there's a self-referential part to watching the old footage that makes you just kind of chuckle and laugh and think about how far we've come from filmmaking and telling these kind of stories. And, doing something like this, in a more modern approach, it feels like you want to go more self-referential. You want people to kind of laugh and kind of chuckle. But, this feels very similar to the premise of District 9 with different takes on it, and especially given the fact that was very much a commentary about the apartheid and refugees. And I'm interested to see how he could probably potentially balance both a serious tone and comedic tone with this retelling of Them.
Well, I'm hoping the possibility for that might come through if he does try to stick with this sort of style that he's kind of done with Werewolf by Night by making it like a 50s style sort of world and writing, and it doesn't necessarily even have to take place in the 50s, but just to sort of give it that vibe and almost make it where it's it feels like a movie out of time.
Maybe from a music standpoint, that's how he does it.
I could see him really being able to capture that tone just based on what he did with Werewolf by Night.
Yeah, and Werewolf by Night still had modern sensibilities while also still being very 1930s horror monster movie inspired at the same time.
In the way it was shot, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, just performances too, right? Like not everyone was over the top theatrical. There were people that were very today versions of their character, right? So
right.
And they still had a theatrical character played by Harriet Sansom Harris, who plays Versa, and she was very over the top. So maybe you just need one over the top theatrical person to kind of bind this down to that vibe of the 50s.
Well, and watching the original trailer for this on YouTube, damn, the music is so loud. I don't know if it was because of the YouTube video and the mix was off or something, but like obnoxiously loud to the point where I was like, this is going to break my headphones if I watch them any more of this 3-minute long what was pretty much just the entire movie. So if you want to watch a 3-minute long version of this movie, then go for it. But I hope stylistically that, yes, he does sort of continue with the horror genre, and that the music is fantastic. He'll do the music. It'll be fantastic. But honestly, after Werewolf by Night, anything he does, I'll be going to the theaters. Yeah, 100%.
For sure.
100%. Yeah. Well, listen, speaking of going to the theaters, we are all going to be going to the theaters, I think, to see these next few trailers. So let's talk about them because
it's trailer time.
Our first trailer is for Beau is Afraid. This is written and directed by Ari Aster. Beau is Afraid stars Joaquin Phoenix in the titular role of Beau, an excruciatingly paranoid man who has a difficult relationship with his helicopter parent mother, who raised Beau on her own. When he finds out that his mother dies, however, he begins an anxiety-ridden journey home plagued with some zany threats ranging from ominous strangers to house arrest anklets to stray bullets to what appear to be 1920s film sets. This is starring Joaquin Phoenix, Parker Posey, Amy Ryan, Kylie Rogers, Richard Kind, Patti LuPone, Nathan Lane, Michael Gandolfini. We've got Armin Nahapatian, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, as Teen Beau, and Ryan S. Hill as Beau's son. This is in theaters April 21st, 2023. Probably, I say possibly, because, we know A24... the way they release their films sometimes it's in limited runs and then they expand out, so we're just going to say April 21st right now. But guys, what did you think of our first look at the next film from Ari Aster?
Wild.
Right.
Like, it looks very bizarre. It looks I think you said it, fever dream.
Yeah.
But I love Joaquin's performance in the trailer.
Right. I think it looks different from things that Ari Aster has done before with Hereditary, but then it also doesn't look different from something like Midsommar, right? Where it's kind of got that same sort of colorful exterior, but then it slowly morphs into that dark, horrifying center in the and so I think right, and I'm getting Truman Show vibes from this. Yeah. I'm wondering if it's all in Beau's head. Like, is he in a coma the entire movie? Does it take place over a few months, a few years? Kevin, what did you think of this trailer?
I think I would definitely say that Joaquin Phoenix, as one of the great actors of our time, certainly looks to be giving that sort of fully committed, fully engrossing performance here, and it looks like he gets to play almost different versions of this character throughout, and so that's always exciting to think that he has something so big to sort of chew into, but. Tonally, it looks so weird. And certainly I'm not one to have been much of a fan or even have seen Ari's previous films. So this one maybe is the most approachable for me, just in that it's not just billed as a straight-out horror movie, although I think...
Correct.
I think elements of it will be quite horrifying in its depictions of trauma and whatnot. So I don't know. This certainly doesn't look like the feel-good movie of the year. That's for sure.
Yeah, it looks like it is 100% more accessible than some of his other movies that I think people would, if you've just heard about them, you might not necessarily go and watch it right off the bat. That said, I think that it is going to, as Kevin was saying, it's going to make you feel uncomfortable. I think it's going to kind of tap into something that feels familiar to the horror side, but I think leans more into the psychological and the disordered aspect of looking at trauma and maybe how things have manifest themselves to one's personality. And I think that that's going to be captured in Joaquin's character for sure.
Well, I think delving, like we were talking about it, but delving into the human psyche as a horror movie, right, is perfect. And I think Joaquin has done this before with Todd Phillips in Joker, and I think it's going to be even deeper and super trippy. I'm sure, Justin, you'll be hitting up the greens before you check out this one. But honestly, maybe not. Maybe you won't have to, actually. You're right.
You won't need to, exactly.
You won't need to. The music they used in the trailer was great. Goodbye Strangers. I think Nathan Lane and Amy Ryan's characters are going to be fantastic in this. And I also want to just shout out the casting of Armin, and I'm going to butcher his last name again, Nahaptian, as teenage Bo. Like, seeing him when they put the poster out, I was like, oh, that's just a CGI'd de-aged child version, and it's not.
I thought the exact same thing.
It's a real person that looks like a young Joaquin Phoenix. It looks perfect. I was absolutely blown away. I'm so excited for this to hit theaters April 21st. It's going to be a lovely sort of Easter time treat, I think. Everyone's going to, celebrate their with their family and go see Beau is Afraid in theaters. But let's get to maybe another movie that might be too scary for Kevin. And I'm talking about this next trailer for Renfield. This is directed by Chris McKay, who actually did the Tomorrow War and the Lego Batman movie. This story is based on an original idea by The Walking Dead and Invincible creator Robert Kirkman. The description as follows. In this modern monster tale of Dracula's loyal servant, we follow Renfield, the tortured aide to history's most narcissistic boss, Dracula. Renfield is forced to procure his master's prey and do his every bidding, no matter how debased. But now, after centuries of servitude, Renfield is ready to see if there's a life outside of the shadow of the Prince of Darkness, if only he can figure out how to end his codependency. This is starring Nicholas Hoult, Awkwafina, Shohreh Aghdashloo, Brendan Scott Jones, Jenna Cannell, Ben Schwartz, Caroline Williams, and the man, the myth, the legend, Nicolas Cage as Dracula. This is coming out in theaters also in April 14th, 2023. Kevin, are you excited to see Nicolas Cage take on the role of a lifetime? Role of over 5,000 roles of Dracula.
Well, I believe. Don't you mean Nicolas Cage?
Sorry,
as he would say it himself. But no, I thought that was a fun reveal in the trailer. I didn't know he was in it. I couldn't quite put a face to the voice as you sort of heard him in the background, and so the big reveal of him as Dracula I thought was a lot of fun. I think this looks like a hoot. It looks like it's going to be a gory, messy, splattery, just fun ride. And I think Awkwafina and Nicholas Hoult could be a really fun pairing as they try to thwart Dracula and escape his clutches. This one came out of nowhere. I hadn't heard much about it until the trailer came out, and I'm all for it. I'm very excited to see this one.
How did you say it? Dracula is a narcissistic person in this movie?
Narcissistic
I feel like,
boss.
Yeah, a narcissistic boss. I think that Nicolas Cage could play that really, really well, and I think he's going to do a fantastic job as that. That's definitely the big get. It's interesting how this feels very action-oriented, too. Mm-hmm. We saw last year Day Shift, which featured sort of like this upscaled monster movie with a lot of brutality and stuff like that. And at moments I was getting hints of that, like just
with the choreography, especially.
Yeah, especially with the choreography, right? So far more interested in what this story is because of Nicolas Cage. I will say that. So I think that it's a good casting to get people to want to see it.
That's such a good call, though. This looks a lot like, a vampire action movie, but just written far better than what we got with Day Shift.
Yeah.
Even in the trailer, just some of the throwaway lines from some of the secondary and background characters are way funnier, way more enjoyable than anything that we really got out of Day Shift. So, there's a great comparison, though. This is almost like an elevated version of that.
Yeah, well, I love the subtle, like, sort of puns as well, like the lady in the group therapy saying, now that sounds familiar, to a familiar, and he kind of trips him up a little bit. And I really like that sort of smart writing that I think it can go a long way. It reminded me a lot of What We Do in the Shadows, but make it an action movie. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of like they just took that base and then said, now make it an action movie. Nick Cage, honestly, if he showed up in an episode of What We Do in the Shadows, I would not bat an eye. There's another pun for you. But it does look like he's really going to chew up every scene that he's in. Sorry, I'm just trying to take my quote from Kevin's writing style here.
That was that kind of that bites. That bites.
Dang it! Oh. Well, this is going to be a bloody good time. And the movie does look really gory. If you haven't had a chance to watch the Red Band version of the trailer on YouTube yet, feel free to do that, because it's basically the same trailer except the priest explodes into a million pieces. So like, that looks hilarious. It kind of looks like it's going to keep that sort of fun, low budget sort of feeling, but with the action movie feel. I'm intrigued. And then I did think Nicholas Hoult sounded a lot like Ewan McGregor in this trailer, though. Did you get that at all? Like, when there's a moment where he says, "But this modern world is a dangerous place," and I was like, wow, I don't know. I got Ewan McGregor vibes. I don't know. Write in. Let me know if you got Ewan McGregor vibes as well, listener. But listen, we're running out of time here, and I think the one thing that we all need is more time. And the person to give it to us might be in this next trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This is directed by Peyton Reed. Superhero partners Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne return to continue their adventures as Ant-Man and the Wasp, together with Hope's parents, Janet Van Dyne and Hank Pym, and Scott's daughter, Cassie Lang. The family finds themselves exploring the quantum realm, interacting with strange new creatures, and embarking on an adventure that will push them beyond the limits of what they thought possible. This is starring Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Jonathan Majors, Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Douglas, Catherine Newton, David Dastmalchian, Katie O'Brien, William Jackson Harper, Bill Murray, and I'm pretty sure, and we're going to talk about it, but I'm pretty sure Corey Stoll is also in this movie. This movie comes out February 17th, 2023. It's right around the corner. I'm so excited for it. But guys, this latest trailer, what did you think for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania?
Darker. Much darker, eh?
Yeah.
It definitely is the final trailer that just says that, you're used to Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp to be kind of comedy movies. This is going to be a bit different. I think that it's great that they're doing that with this character, with Ant-Man, again, seen as one of the more comedic superheroes. I don't think it's going to lose itself into the darkness, but I think that Kang does pose a huge threat. Like that shot of him towards the end of the trailer, and he's just screaming and he's shooting
out the
blue light out of his hands. Whoa, that looks. He's coming for Scott for sure. He's definitely coming for him. But I know a lot of people are thinking that he's gonna die. I don't think Scott's gonna die.
Okay.
Actually, I think that's a red herring. I think that they're playing pretty obvious with that in the trailer. I do think we're going to lose an Ant-Man. It's just going to be the original Ant-Man.
You think Hank
Pym is going to die, and he's going to sacrifice himself to save Scott, which is going to be the ultimate testament to them closing their mentor-student sort of relationship, and I think that's going to give him some serious trauma. I think that could be explored further, especially with a character like Ant-Man. They're already tapping into that with the loss of time. But I don't know.
Well, I think this trailer definitely felt like a stark contrast from the previous trailer that we got. Sorry, that is another pun, but I didn't actually intend that one. But
emphasized it like you did. Jeez.
Rip. But I do think that it definitely feels much more epic. This feels like the end of a trilogy. Right, it's kicking off the multiverse saga, but it's ending the Ant-Man trilogy. Kevin, what are your thoughts on? I know you did our This Week in Geek, where you talked about the first trailer that hit. What did you think about this one in contrast?
They definitely give a deeper look at the conflict between Scott and how could I not think of Major's character here? Kang, obviously. Jeez. You certainly get a glimpse into their big conflict or confrontation, and I do like that it looks like we're getting back to a little bit more hand-on-hand combat, which you don't get a lot in Marvel these days, so that's pretty cool. I do I just always worry that have they given away too much? Did we see sort of the climax of the movie as Scott says, I don't have to kill you. We both just have to, I have to stop both of us or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's always my fear with these second trailers. I don't even know why they need to release 2 completely fresh new trailers for a movie like this. Like the poster alone is going to get everybody into the theaters to see it. You almost don't even need a trailer for these. And so, it's easy to say, just don't watch. You know what's going to happen. We're watching them all. Like if they release a third one 2 days before the movie, I'm going to watch it too and then be upset that I did. I just honestly, I can't shake my uneasiness towards the aesthetic of the Quantum Realm. I just don't like the look of it. I know I've said it on a previous podcast. I just to spend 2 hours there, it just aesthetically doesn't do much for me. I hope I'm drastically wrong and the adventure itself just sweeps me away and I get fully immersed into it. But I'm just so uneasy about how this film looks, where it's taking place. I'm far more of a ground level kind of guy.
Yeah, it looks like a CGI fest in that respect. I think Chronopolis is going to be interesting. I think giving fans at least that ability to see Chronopolis realized in some way, and maybe even connecting the dots from here to what we've seen in Loki on the other side. I think that's going to really be an interesting parallel if they can establish it, because this does feel familiar to that, but also at the same time incredibly more elevated, like just over the top. I'm not going to use the word spectacle, but I'm going to say
well, I think this is Chronopolis's time to shine, right? I don't know how often we're going to get to come back to this place. I know we're going to get a lot more Kang, obviously, but that's because I really believe at the end of this movie that Kang gets his wish. Obviously, he gets to get out of the quantum realm, and I think that's maybe what this movie's kind of looking at, is like he's offering. I think a lot of people are saying that Kang is offering Scott time to relive the years that he missed out on of Cassie's life. I actually think I think that's actually not true. I actually think that he's offering Scott more time to prevent something from happening to Cassie and his family. I think that is maybe a little bit more along the lines of what's actually going on. And who knows if that has anything to do with, like, again, messing up the timelines and switching things around. But I don't know, man. I'm really, really intrigued by Kang. I think he looks absolutely phenomenal. The blue laser shield, I'm happy he's not actually blue. Like, I'm happy it's just sort of like a laser shield. But speaking of faces in this movie, can we talk about the giant-ass stretched face of Darren Cross as MODOK? What did you guys think of our first look at MODOK in the MCU?
I wonder if that was an accident to have included that shot. Like,
you think no, they don't make accidents like that.
They would never let something like that accidentally in a trailer.
Okay,
everything is so combed over with a fine.
It just seems so like not refined. Like you said, it looks really weird.
On the PSP in Tony Hawk's Underground, whatever, I don't remember which one it was, you had the option for customizing, create your own character. You upload a JPEG onto your memory card of your face, and it would just put your face on this round circle face thing that would stretch it out. Like, that's literally what this looks like. And if people are upset with the CGI in something like, Thor Love and Thunder with Astrid, this is not going to be that much better. I'm hoping they play it for a laugh. I'm hoping they lean into that. Maybe that is part more of the comical side. I thought his mask looked pretty dope, very samurai looking-esque mask. But dude, the mental organism designed only for killing. It's going to be interesting to see kind of what he actually is doing in this movie, and it's intriguing because it's like, is this and this is me coming at it from. I mean, Darcy might have a better answer for this, but do you think this is really the movie to bring MODOK into it? We've seen the Marvel recently, the MCU recently, bringing in more and more characters that sort of are like, did they need to be in this one? Could he potentially be that?
Well, I think it makes sense for him to be there. I know Darcy would probably say that, but I would think that Kang is using Darren Cross and has helped him to become MODOK. And maybe that's how Kang has found Scott. Again, I think that given the fact that we know what happened to Darren Cross in Ant-Man, him coming out on the other end and being desperate, I could see him, clinging to Kang But, Kevin, you said it, like, this movie feels so above the grounded street level of what we had previously from Ant-Man that I think it's warranted and it's deserved. Especially after the events of Endgame and him being the one that did navigate a plan for the time heist. I think that might come into some sort of level of justification as to why they were kidnapped and brought into the quantum realm. And that too, like we see in the trailer, that Cassie is, using some sort of element to tap into the quantum realm. And I think that leaves them exposed and vulnerable, and Kang already knowing who Scott Lang is. And yeah, I think that there's a reason why Ant-Man is the pawn that Kang wants to use.
Yeah, I mean, just as a final thought here, I'm actually kind of excited for the movie because this is the lowest expectations I've had for a Marvel movie. Maybe all throughout a phase 4. And so to start it off here, this could be like just such a pleasant surprise for me. I almost don't think this movie can be anything but amazing. I think how important it is for starting off the Kang era and everything, that I think they're really going to do their best to hit it out of the park here. And so, yeah, as low as my expectations are, I think that only leaves that much room for me to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan Majors, man.
Oh.
He's going to kill it.
He's going to kill someone. And yeah, maybe it is Hank Pym. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know how much Michael Douglas wants to keep sticking around in the MCU, and like they're doing the whole changing the old guard. And even with the previous, Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, we're like, oh, Rocket's going to die. Bautista's going to die. Bautista already officially came out and said he's not playing the character anymore. So, like, yeah, he very well could be. But listen, we do not have long to wait. Kang has gifted us with a shorter amount of time because the movie comes out February 17th, 2023. So that is it for trailer time. Guys, let's get to our first Whatcha of 2023. Kevin, I'm actually going to have you kick us off.
So to start off the year, I was going to talk about a show I've been watching over on Paramount by my boy, Taylor Yellowstone Sheridan. Stars Sylvester Stallone. It's called Tulsa King. But you know what? I've just been so busy with the holidays and everything. I'm only about halfway through the series, so I think I'll wait until I watch the first full season to talk about it a little bit more in depth. So I got something a little bit different today. A couple months ago, I discovered this YouTube series that's done by GQ, and it's called Iconic Characters, and it's a really, really fun look at basically all of your favorite actors and actresses talking about their most iconic characters, what it means to them, how they got the part, what the legacy of those characters are for them. It's a lot of fun. And, it was just a couple weeks ago, it was Rian Johnson breaking down his biggest movies. Brendan Fraser came on as The Whale started gaining traction. So they sort of seem to lock down these actors as they're, in the spotlight, or, they have a big movie coming out. They have got 123 episodes of the series already. Episodes are usually about 22 minutes, so it's almost, a typical episode of a TV show, if you will. But yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun watching these. I keep going through the list going, I'd love to see Daniel Radcliffe talk a little bit about, not just Harry Potter, but maybe some of the other roles he's done. And so, yeah, I would definitely recommend checking that out. That's Iconic Characters by GQ. Basically, anybody you can think of. Kevin Bacon was on right around the time that the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special came out. And so to see him talk about how much he loved Tremors and playing in that movie, of all the things, that was the one that he sort of had the most fun doing. It's really neat to sort of see, not just characters you love, but that these actors loved playing. It brings a new level to your appreciation for what they've done with these characters. So it's a lot of fun.
That looks great. I love a good sort of sit down, have a nice meal, and sort of watch some of these, because it does look like these are maybe a little more in depth than just like an interview, and to hear them sort of talking more about the things that they want to talk about. And the most recent episode is Don Cheadle, which looks fantastic. So that's really cool. Iconic Characters on YouTube. It's not like a YouTube Premium thing though, right? It's like anyone can watch it.
Nope. Yeah, it's just through right through the GQ sort of YouTube page. Fantastic. Right under playlists.
for all the gentlemen and gentle other people as well. But Justin, how about yourself?
Honestly, I have just been watching things that I can't talk about right now. So we will save this for a later date. But I will say one of them is probably the best show of 2023. And we're already in the first week of 2023. So I'm really enjoying it. So
I hope that gets
you'll have to wait and see because there's some reviews coming.
Gets me hyped. Oh my gosh. Okay. For me, for my watcha, as I mentioned, I did platinum God of War Ragnarok finally. So my gaming time has kind of opened up for me to play something a little less bombastic. And after about 3 years of waiting, I finally have received my play date in the mail. And guys, I've been loving this little system right here. It's got a little crank on it. You got a little crank, and I've been cranking it all over the place. I've been cranking it at home. I've been cranking it at work. I've just been cranking
in public, bud.
I'm cranking in public, dude. I'm cranking all over the place. For listeners who don't know what I'm talking about and have now turned off the podcast, this is from the developers of games like Firewatch and Untitled Goose Game. They partnered with a Swedish company called Teenage Engineering, and they made this little tiny, it's like a small little handheld game system. It's really small, and it's got like a non-backlit screen. So you're going back to like the Game Boy days of needing a light to look at it. It probably would infuriate you, Kevin, but I will say the games that are on this and that are aimed for this system are delightful. They're so charming. It's a lot of free software. But right now, like for instance, I'm playing a game called Casual Birder, where you play like a 30-something-year-old hipster, where you go around and you're trying to win a bird photography tournament while you're learning about the community of people that get into birding. So it's really like quirky and fun and silly. And like you use the crank for that game to like focus your camera while you're taking pictures of the birds. And it feels so silly, but the quality of the system is so like just really well done. Teenage Engineering is just known for their quality products. So it was worth the wait. It's worth the 3 years. I would say check it out. I would even recommend you buy one, but you might be waiting till like 2026 at this point. I mean, I think they say it ships in 2023, but it'll be late this year if they're managing to catch up with manufacturing. But if you like games like that Panic make, like Untitled Goose Game, I really do think you would dig this little system. I don't know. Have you guys ever gotten into any of like the super indie games at this level or no?
No, I think I'm more
hardcore.
interested in no, definitely not as hardcore as wanting to crank in public. I think the one thing that you got that I really am interested in is the analog.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Allowing you to play like your Game Boy, old school Game Boy games. Oh yeah. That thing is so nice. The OLED screen on it is really nice. The
super
color
crisp.
It's super sharp, so all of those games look like really, really refined, and they're all obviously like just old school. So I think I would pick up something like that and wait the long wait for that.
For that one too,
for over the one
the Playdate.
Yeah, the Playdate. But I love the name. I like the branding. The branding is really nice. It's what, purple and yellow.
It's cute, and you know what they do is like they don't give you all the games right away. So you get a year. What they do is every Monday they release 2 more games. And so from the date that you activate it, you get 2 games, and then you play those for a week. And then the next Monday, you get 2 more games. You get to play those. And you get to keep all the games, but it sort of builds your library.
Okay, I was going to say, do they go away after a
No,
week?
they don't go away. You're not like stressed, like, I really want to finish this game. But they've got some really, really fun-looking games. And then again, the community, this is all for developers, right? So is there a knocked-off version of Tetris called Playtris on it? Absolutely. And it's fantastic because it's just Tetris. But, is there a version of Snake where you use the crank to crank your snake? Absolutely. And it's fantastic. I'd say, I'd recommend everyone cranks their snake. Anyways.
I don't even know what to think. Just as a heads up, I'm on the website now. You can pre-order them, and it says available for 2023. There's no specific date, but they're saying they might be up. So maybe they they've reduced their
caught up.
turnaround time on those orders.
Hopefully. It's really, really fun. So look into it. But that is it. We hope you enjoyed This Week in Geek. And if you did, make sure to subscribe to us wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And if you want to write into the show with your thoughts on this week's news or any of the content we cover here, well, I'm going to cast a magical spell of wisdom over to Justin to let you know how you can reach us by owl.
Well, they can reach us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or they reach out to us on Twitter at GeekcentricYT or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric.
Keep in mind, we also have a ton of other great episodes covering the latest in movies, TV shows, and games, including our most recent episode where Kevin took us through a look back, or as we call it, a geek back at 2022, and all of our favorite movies and TV shows of the year. We discussed our biggest disappointments and what we're looking forward to most in 2023. And we also have our weekly watch club going on for Star Wars The Bad Batch, which you can enjoy every Wednesday after the episode drops on Disney+. It's a great way to hear our juicy spoiler-filled thoughts and theories on each and every moment of that series. Plus, if you enjoy Star Wars The Bad Batch, we also had the opportunity to sit down with the Bad Batch themselves, D. Bradley Baker, as well as the show's supervising director, Brad Rao, and head writer, Jennifer Corbett. Justin was saying we got some more, stuff that he can't talk about yet. Well, we also have some interviews from some of the stuff that he can't talk about or we can't talk about just yet. So I'm so excited for those to be up on YouTube. You can check those out. Either you can listen to them on podcast service of your choice, or you can hear them and see them on YouTube at youtube.com/geekcentric. So go give all those episodes a like, a listen. Be sure to comment and leave a 5-star review if you don't mind. I'm Nate. Kevin, Justin, thank you so much for joining me for this globe-winning episode. And as we say, love ya.
Get home safe, guys.
Peace.